Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Hey there, this is Christy Ruffino, and I have the honor of reading the official bio for our next guest, Terri Lynn Yanke. Terri is the founder, CEO, biz event wizard, and experience visionary of Eventful Advantage LLC, which is a premier event service company. Terri Lynn combines her MBA in marketing, 20 years of executive level corporate experience, with event strategy and planning to help business owners and decision makers create experiences, not just events, to build their businesses and brand. In addition, she is the managing director of eWomenNetwork Madison, and that is a premier global networking community where she produces and facilitates 2 events every month. Terri enjoys speaking to different groups and associations about creating experiences, not just events. Terri was born and raised in Madison, Wisconsin area, where she recently returned home after living away for a while. She's had many jobs since graduating from the University of Wisconsin School of Business. She is excited to be closer to family and being able to cheer on both the Badgers and the Packers at a closer distance. When not working, Terri enjoys the outdoors, exploring new restaurants, trying new cocktails, craft brews, and wines. Plus, she loves traveling. Terri Lynn is mom to Lindsey, who lives and works in Washington, D.C., and her fur baby, Odie. And if you listen carefully, you can hear Odie in our interview because he was doing everything he could to get his mom's attention. So without further ado, let's get on with the interview.
You're listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where you learn to step into your power and live your purpose. Now back to the show with your host, Christy Ruffino.
Welcome to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am interviewing Terri Yanke, and I am really excited for you to get to know her. She has been in my life only for a short time now. And we met at a local organization that we're both a part of, called the Engaging Speakers. And she has done a lot in just a short period of time that I've known her to really make a big impact to me. So I am grateful that she said yes to be one of our guests. And I don't really know a lot about your story because we have such a new podcast. They've been either clients or friends. And I am really looking forward to getting to know you today, Terri, on more of a personal level as you share your story. So that being said, welcome, Terri.
Thanks, Christy. Thanks so much for having me on your podcast. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And so I am a event biz wizard and experience visionary. What does that mean? I focus on producing business events for business owners and companies to help them share their message, product, service, grow their business and brand, and be memorable, because I'm all about experiences. And so been to too many bad...
This is funny. So this is your dog in the background, and usually it's my dog in the background. So if anybody's listening, you can't see, but she's trying to like swat her dog away and throw the toy. So he leaves and comes back. So this is great. I love it.
Yeah, talk about the fun of, online and stuff like that. So my dog definitely wants to be part of this.
I can hear her squeaky toy.
Yeah, and as more as I try, he just does it more and more. So I apologize for that, but
no problem. More the merrier. Have him come on board.
Okay, thanks for your consideration there, Christy. But so I have a business background, and I'm a former apparel executive. And I've gone to many, many business events, and I've also done my own business events in what I did. And I found out really early there's good business events and there's bad ones. And my time to determine what I wanted to do in my life, I just swore, I made a personal oath that there is no way I'm going to let myself put together a bad business event or meeting. And so that's just a little bit about that part.
Great, great. So that's kind of what brought you into this particular business. How long have you been doing this?
So I've been doing this for about 3 years now. So I was in my as independent, and before that I did it, and actually in reflection, I've been doing it my whole life. I've been doing it since I was in high school and a young girl. I always had a knack for pulling together people, especially for a purpose.
Mm.
And then I just have, I'm very planner orientated. I'm very attention to detail orientated. And like I said, I really like a good experience. So that's selfishly and what I'd like to give to my clients and their attendees.
Well, that's what makes you a great event wizard. I love when you said that initially. I'm going to make sure we use that in something. But I know we had a conversation at some point because I've done a ton of events. And I know for me in the business I was really focused on at that time, the Dynamic Professional Women's Network, events were a key piece to that. It was bringing the women from all of my chapters together. And it was really nice when we were local and we only had 10 chapters in the local Chicagoland area. And then at that point, we were doing events every month and we were bringing in great guests and it was fun. But then as we started to scatter and be in other states, it made it really difficult to have those monthly events. And we transitioned to a yearly event. And I shared with you that I did the first one. And it was so painful. I kept saying, oh, I'm never gonna do this again. Just like when moms, when they have children, right? You go through childbirth and you say at the time, oh, I'm never gonna do this again. And I swore the whole time while I was putting that event together that I was never gonna do it again. But once the event happened and it was over and I was on such a high afterwards and everybody loved it, I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna do another one. So I did a second one. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'm gonna stop at 2, just like I did with my children. And I never did another event. So when I ever decide to do another big event, I need an event wizard like you, because to me, I don't want to just have an event on the calendar for people to come to. I want it to be an experience. And that's one of the things I liked about our conversation is you really got it for me, from my perspective. I wanted people to walk in and I wanted it to smell special. And I wanted them to see everything, like the visual, sensory, every sense that we can. I want that to be impacted because then they walk away feeling like they just experienced something great instead of just attended an event and left.
Yeah, Christy, you are so right. And you touched upon a lot of the key things. And so I mentioned to you, I wanted to not have a bad experience event. I wanted a great experience event. So I did a lot of studies on experience. And it's really something that happens to you or you observe or you take part in that affects you. And so it's something that touches upon you. And then it kind of was, what does it lead to? Well, it leads to memories.
Mm.
And so when you make a great experience, it leads to memories. And then if you want to have, going into the studies of neuroscience, which I'm not an expert, but it fascinates me, if you go into that and look into what makes longer term memories, it is the combination of interaction. And so you always want to have an event that has people mingling amongst each other and interacting with each other. And it sounds like your group that you had love to get together and interact with one another. But sometimes they don't know each other. So you have to put in things to help them interact with one another. The other thing is you want them to engage in the event, take part, participate, involve themselves, and then they remember more, and it leads to longer term memories. And there's lots of different ways to do that. And one of the favorites is giving away prizes. Who doesn't want to win free stuff or workbooks and worksheets and different things like that. And then the one that you touched upon, which kind of is interesting, you talked about walking in and seeing the visual, and everything. It's really engaging all your senses, all 5 of them. And so I typically plan an event around the client's purpose, the goals, what they want to achieve and what they want to accomplish. But then I kind of do a little bit of a checklist of, hey, was the eyes covered enough? Were the ears covered enough? Was the nose? One of the most important is your smell, and then touch, and taste. So I just make sure if it's not, sometimes it's naturally covered when you plan an event, but sometimes it needs some extra help. So I interject some additional things in to make sure those are covered, because you want a great experience. You want to be remembered. If you're doing an event, you putting the time, the energy, the money into them, you do want to be remembered.
Oh, totally. Totally. Yes. I love the interaction. They have the guests interact with each other, and then the engagement, how they can feel like they're actually a part of it. And then of course, all the senses. So with everything that's been going on in the last year, we all know what that is. How has this affected your business with the virtual events? Have you kind of jumped into that platform?
Yes. And so we met each other at Engaging Speakers. Another part of me is that I'm a managing director for eWomenNetwork, which is the #1 networking and referral community in the United States. And so I have the local chapter in Madison, Wisconsin, and I do events on a regular basis. 2 events per month I produce and facilitate. And I have to say that when March came around last year in 2020, I was getting some really nice traction because I had just recently moved to Madison, and I was getting some really nice traction with some in-person events. And then I was doing the eWomenNetwork events. So my in-person events went away. That's what happened in March of 2020. At first, maybe they got extended, in hopes that the pandemic would go away soon, and got, kind of future dates, but eventually they all dropped off. But eWomenNetwork was pretty much, we're not dropping a beat here. We are continuing on. And so I was an early adapter to online meetings, had to learn really quick, had to get a better Zoom account. I'm now up to 500 people, both a webinar and meeting, that I can help my clients with. And jumped right in. Within a couple of days, I had to change a live meeting to an online meeting and had to do some learnings. Since that time, I'm quite a Zoom expert and like to play around with all the buttons and the new things coming out, and enjoy helping others connect and have an experience online too. And it's a little different.
It is. But I've been to some events where they actually had all of the experiential elements in it, with the different breakout rooms and different sponsor booths. And it's kind of neat how let's see, it's February or January. So January of last year, you couldn't have forced people to attend an all-day online event, right? Because why would we? And I know I've had a Zoom account for years, and it was really difficult to get people to do a Zoom meeting. Now, I would use Zoom for my events and my recordings, and I almost forced people to come on Zoom events. But to get other people to do that, it was hard. But now it's become the norm. And even my granddaughter, she's 5 and she goes to school and virtually, or has been, now she's in takes a bus. So who knows when that's going to change, but she knows her way around Zoom almost better than I do. And it's funny because she's just like doing this, and it's like great how we've all just adapted to what's going on now, and who knows what's going to be next. But it's just neat how the online event space has become like we have all these tools to make it better and better and better.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct, Christy, that we will not go back. It'll always now be part of it because of what you said. People are comfortable. And then there's some other pluses of it is that it helps actually save the host some money. And so you're not paying for a venue and a food and beverage and things like that. So that cost goes down, and thus you could charge less to your guests too. And then you can attract people from all over the world. How cool is that? And so those are really the pluses. And so it will not necessarily go away. There'll probably be a combination because people do love to connect in person.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to say that, you have to do your content and stuff differently online. You have to keep it shorter. You have to keep it, more shorter segments, a little bit shorter in time, a little bit more attention grabbing, a little bit more energy. Like you said, using all the buttons and showing your reactions and emojis. And then there's two senses that you can't share across the screen. And that is your taste and your smell. And so what a lot of people are doing, and I encourage this very much so, is sending a kit that will have those additional things and some extra things to engage and interact and participate, along with things that are good for the nose and the taste in a kit prior to the event. And if that can't be done, I mean, you can just tell people, hey, bring a cup of tea and yep, there you go. We have Christy with a candle. You can't see this, but Christy with a candle and a mug of tea. I also have my tea really close by here, and some aromatherapy going on in this room.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we got it going, Christy.
Yeah, I know. I'm all about all the senses. So this has been great so far, Terri. So if you can hang tight just a moment, we're going to take a quick break. And then I want to come back because I know you've got so many great nuggets of event wisdom to share. So hang tight for me. Why spend hours networking in person and now online only to interact without ever connecting? Who wants to be even busier when our goal is simply to get more business? Since 2003, the Dynamic Professional Women's Network, aka DPWN, has established itself as the premier network for women to grow their businesses through relationship networking. With local and global members across the nation, DPWN sisters help each other prosper through collaboration, mentorship, accountability, support, wisdom, and most importantly, referral generation. To join the DPWN team, visit dpwnglobal.com. All right, well, welcome back to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast with Terri Yanke. Well, Terri, we already covered so much good stuff, what I call nuggets of wisdom or ninja tips. And I know over the break, we discussed how we're going to continue with this conversation. And I really, really, really am excited about how this is going to go. So if you are with us, hang tight because we're going to jump into online event engagement. Because I don't know about you, but I'm super sick of Zoom. And I do love a lot of it, but I am tired of sitting in front of my computer in front of the screen, and I still have to do it. So how can I do it that will make me more excited or keep me more engaged or keep me from getting distracted? So Terri, let's jump into that. Take it away, because I know you've got some great strategies for us.
Yeah, so I've been helping people with online events, and to your point, Christy, making them different than your typical Zoom event where we've been doing just a lot of it and there's fatigue. So one of the most, I just finished a 3-day summit that was 3 days online, and it was kind of like, what can we do differently? And one of the things we did is we started each morning with meditation and yoga. And this was a business event. And so for some people, this was brand new. And so, yeah, there's Christy. You can't see her, but she's doing some stretches right now. And so if you're doing any kind of, sometimes it's just refreshing to start with a shocker, something that they don't expect. And so starting with a meditation or some stretches or some different exercise for movement, because otherwise you're sitting in your chair. But otherwise, there's even movement in your chair that you can do. So that is one of the ways, but there's a whole list of different things. It kind of goes back to some of the senses. We also had some kind of played live music videos in between. We got this band to participate, and they are socially distancing from one another right now. And so they spliced together some videos. I mean, it takes time and energy to do that, but it was so cool because it was like watching something live. And we played that at key times, and that also energizes good music. But I do want to give a word of caution, is that you have to have the copyrights to your music to play them on an event. And so how we got around that in this particular event is we hired the musicians. And so that is a good way. There's also some copyright free or royalty free type of music you can choose from.
Yeah, you don't want to learn that the hard way.
No.
You can do your event and have it out there, and then all of a sudden you get this not so nice letter in the mail, or if it's on YouTube, they take it down. It's gone.
Right. You get on the blacklist, and you don't want to be there. And so it's just some simple things that anyone and everyone can do just on a regular basis. Is kind of like, the online person of name tags is your little name in the square. So you can change that to whatever you want it to be. So it could be your name, it could be your business. You could identify yourself as the speaker. You could identify yourself as the member or the guest. And so it is the new way of a name tag. And so that helps in interaction and engagement because people know who you are, what you do. And so use your name. And then really encourage everyone to use all those little buttons. So use the chat, encourage people to put in the chat, use the little reactions. And then there's those video filters. Those are really, really fun. So you can frame yourself in different kind of frames. You could make yourself an animal. You could add different accessories. And now there's these ones that are studio beta ones where you could add your different eyebrows, add lipstick color. If you wanted, you could put on a beard, And so
how fun. Now, are those apps that connect to Zoom, or is that a part of Zoom now?
That is just part of Zoom.
Oh, wow.
And so, next to that little camera that says stop video, there's a little arrow up. And if you click on there, you could choose video filters. And then there's Studio Effects Beta that's down in the right-hand corner. And that is where you can add those little eyebrows and lipsticks and stuff like that.
Oh, yes. I do remember seeing this and playing around with it.
Oh, and as we're talking, guys, Christy is wearing a hat.
Got my Santa hat on.
A Santa hat on. And there she is in a little frame. And so she's having fun right now.
Yeah, how fun.
The other thing you can do is use video backgrounds. So if there's a certain theme to your event, or if you're going to a networking event, you could put your logo up and some information right in your picture that you use as your background. So I've been to baby showers, and we were all told to bring pictures of us as a baby, on it. So, you can create that. And so there's virtual backgrounds that Zoom has. You can really use any picture. And then Canva, you can use Canva, which is their free tool, and you can add your logo to it or any other information to it. And so that's a great way to share who you are, add a little fun to an event, and things like that.
That would be fun for, as a host of an event, to have certain periods of the event where you've pre-assigned people to have certain things. and like, I don't know, make a game out of it. Like who is that? Whose background is that? And have a picture of a child or, them as a baby, close your camera and just have the icon as them as a baby. And everybody had to guess who's who. I mean, there's so many fun things that you can do that are creative that will get people, having fun, making the energy, bringing the energy up.
Right. I mean, you want people, I mean, we need to laugh, we need to have some fun. And when you add those elements in, and Christy, that's actually a great idea. I'm going to keep and mark that down for future use there. It just gave me some more ideas. But yeah, you can really take it in a lot of different directions. And to your point, you can play games, and you could be games related to whatever that event is about. It could be just getting information, asking a question. You could use the poll feature and have questions prepared, people answer, and you can actually share the results. And people like sometimes when they ask questions, like to hear what the results are.
Yeah.
And like it could be used for true hard information, or it could be used for more fun things. Um, and let's see here, icebreakers. What the one thing that people, and you've mentioned this before when we were talking earlier, the one thing when people are surveyed to what they like best when they go to an online event are those small breakout rooms, those small group connections. It just allows for people a little bit easier when you're in a smaller group to interact, and especially if given questions to answer. So not just introduce yourself, which should be part of it, but some deeper questions where you really can kind of get to know someone a little bit better than just your typical, how do you do? And so that is the best and most favorite tool. And so I really recommend that highly for pretty much any online event. And so I'm actually increasing the number of times I do them in the events that I'm been doing. And I kind of mentioned prizes. There's a free feature called Wheel of Names. And this, you can customize it by putting a picture in, the colors, and so you can make it fit the theme or the logo of the business or the group, and kind of use this as a way to even pick people to pick questions or to win prizes. It could be used in a lot of different ways. You could put music to it, and people like that a lot. It kind of calls upon a name and stuff like that.
I've been to events where they gave you a bio break and then they said, okay, be back at this time. And then whoever was there live, where we can see, the host could see who's there. They put those names and they spun the wheel and they gave a prize away. So it is a great way. That was a great way to keep people engaged and on the schedule.
Yeah, and Christy, to your point, that long 3-day virtual event that we did, we rewarded the people that stayed with us at the end of the day, and we just put their names. They had to be there to win, and that's a great way to keep people with you, because who doesn't want to win something?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's also good. These are also good for fundraisers. And so people contribute to possibility of winning some gifts and prizes to raise funds. And so the poor, fundraising communities have had a really hard time during this time. And so they're coming up with different ways to raise funds. And they have to do it online. And you can play different games and do different things to raise funds. And using the wheel is one of the ways too.
Yeah.
And so
have you heard of Mentimeter, menti.com?
Menti.com. No,
That's
I'm
a
going to
great
write
one
that
for
down.
voting. We use that for Toastmasters when we want the audience to actually vote on something. And so in Menti, and that's another free tool like Wheel of Games, where we would put in the different choices, and then everybody that's there would either go to a browser window or pick up their phone, and then you go to menti.com and you type in a special code, and then it gives you the options and you vote. So that's a great way to have real live engagement, kind of similar to a poll, I would imagine. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is kind of similar, but just another way, and there are, places where you can even go, I think it's twixter.com, where
Oh,
you can go and play cards.
oh,
You could play cards with other people,
oh, interesting.
and as
Okay.
one person drops out, another person can drop in,
Huh.
and so you could, not to say that maybe that's part of a business event, or it could be a team building type of thing,
Yeah.
and um, and so a lot of those free things are just kind of fun and doing different. I've done scavenger hunts, where
Ooh.
you kind of post a picture and you go find something in your house and bring it back, and that kind of fits the picture, and so
Oh.
you could do so it's encouraging getting up and movement and then coming back, and you have to do it quickly, and then you keep track of who finds the best of each of those things, and they're the winner of the
Wow.
scavenger hunt. So
Wow. So many great ideas. I'm loving this.
yeah, yeah. And then, if you are doing a talk, or if you are doing a workshop or something like that, I encourage everyone to then create a worksheet. And so what that does, it helps people engage
Mm.
into it by writing the notes down and stuff like that, and encourage a lot of question and answer back and forth. The opportunity for both the speaker or the workshop person or the host to be able to ask questions, but also the attendees to be able to ask them questions. And again, that's just engagement with the event. And so just
Yeah.
encouraging that. And so there are a whole lot of ways, so if you go to a boring Zoom meeting, it's kind of like shame on them. There
Yeah.
are
Right.
so many ways that you can make it fun and interactive, and anything long, you mentioned the break. Yes, give breaks, let people get up and stretch, and they come back, and reward them for coming back, or with something. Maybe the keynote speaker is right after you come back. There might be prizes right after you come back, and so but give that, it really clears your head and makes you feel better, and it makes other people feel better, and well needed.
Yes. Wow. Well, this has been great, Terry. I really appreciate you sharing all this. And I would love for you to take a moment to let our audience know how they can get a hold of you, because I know you would love to help them have a better event experience. I will tell you, I have been to, since it started, I think 4 or 5 events, online events, where they were either a 1 day event or longer. And I went to some that were just painful. It was just difficult to sit through them, which was tough because I really wanted the content. I wanted to learn. I really wanted to be engaged and get value from the event, but it was so hard for me to be present that I didn't get anything out of it. And then I had one particular event that was great because I registered and I wasn't even a VIP at that time. And they sent me a box. And in that box, I had a candle. So my scent was, stimulated. I got a wine glass, I got a notepad. I got a little notebook so I could take notes, a fill in the blank notebook. So they had everything pre-done, and a t-shirt. I got a t-shirt. So everything was pre-done. And because we don't have that venue expense, they allocated the resources to that. It was like a little event box that I got. And I will tell you, I got so much out of the event, not only from that, but all of the things they did to create that engagement with me. And so if the audience is out there thinking that they can do it on their own, I will tell you, you can't. You have to bring somebody in, because otherwise I really feel you're just completely wasting your time. And if you're there to serve your clients, you want to make sure you're serving them authentically and giving them the right value. So they all need to connect with you, Terry.
Well, thanks, Kristen. You're so right. I mean, some people do try to do it all, but they're stressed. They can't enjoy it themselves. They're not interacting with their attendees the right way. Their energy level is off.
And they don't
Um,
know what works and doesn't work because
yeah,
they've not tried it before. And so if something falls flat, well, now that's just wasted everybody's time.
yeah. I actually create run of shows, just like a TV show. I'm the producer. I start from the intro to every single thing that happens and what minutes and how long it takes to put together a program that is interactive, engaging, and it touches upon all the senses. And so, yes, I would love for people to contact me. I do offer a free event strategy call. So just kind of know that's there, whether you've never done events or you want to make events better. And you feel free to contact me on my website. And I know Christy is going to be listing that for you. I also put a lot on my Facebook page. I post a lot of articles and interesting tidbits. And so join me there. And then I'm very active on LinkedIn also.
Great. So that would be eventfuladvantage.com. And we will post that along with your Facebook business page link and your LinkedIn link. And then we'll also post a lot of these resources you mentioned, because I want to make sure the audience has an easy access to try these all out. And I will just say again, thank you, Terri. This has been great. I know I eventually want to do an event for my coaching business. And I know I'm not going to do it on my own because for me as the event host, my goal should be on serving my clients and not on creating an event. And so we will be talking soon.
Awesome. And then I encourage everyone that goes to my website, get my complimentary business event experience checklist. Whether you do events or not, it just gives you a lot of ideas and things to think about. And it's built for both online and in person.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate your dedication to our Overcoming Mediocrity show. We've had some amazing guests. We're always looking for more. So feel free to go to our website, overcomingmediocrity.org, and click on the podcast page. And we do have a way for you to sign up to be a future guest. We'd love to be able to keep bringing in amazing guests like Terri. And until then, have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.